You mentioned AB 32 for everybody's benefit. What is AB 32?
Okay, AB 32, for those who don't know what AB 32 is, AB 32 is known as the Global Warming Solutions Act of 2006. Basically, it's California's version of cap and trade. And what's so insidious about this program or this legislation is that thanks to the EPA, they said that now CO2 is a greenhouse gas. AB 32 stipulates that all greenhouse emissions have to be monitored and regulated. So any new business that starts up in California will have to have some kind of mandate of monitoring and regulating the emissions that they make. Well, guess what? I'm emitting greenhouse gases right now. It's a problem. Now, you know, I believe that we can do environmentalism. Environmentalism is great if we do it with the private sector. I think they're more qualified to handle it. If you look at any type of industry that's gone on, that's been privatized, you find that the consumers are always the beneficiaries. And then when the government gets a hold of it, the government's always the beneficiary. So it's important that we keep prosperity and environmentalism at a level where they're consistent instead of having one trump the other. Because right now, if you look at the Central Valley, you see that it's a run amok. I mean, 50% unemployment rate, all because of the Delta snowfish. And that's environmentalism run amok.
George Schultz over the weekend came out and claimed that he was for Proposition 32.
23.
23.
Prop 23, yes.
No.
Okay, so
Well,
you want my stand on it?
yes.
Okay, my stand is I support it. And here's why. Prop 23, for those who don't know what Prop 23 is, Prop 23 is basically, it's a compromise. It's a compromise, and it says, if unemployment is above 5%, we're going to set AB 32 aside. I think that's a great compromise. What was Julia Brownlee's response? No way. No way. It's our way or the highway. And that's the problem with the environmentalists right now, is that their human rights don't matter. And property rights don't matter. Nothing matters except getting clean air, clean water. I think that's wrong. We need to mitigate that. We need to compromise and come to the table and say, look, we got to have our prosperity along with the environment, and we can do both.
Can I just pass around the mic? So if you have questions, use the mic. Okay.
I think a little bit more use of public transportation would help. It would have to be something that people would have to be educated on, but there are a lot of good buses in this neighborhood that go everywhere if you have access, but there are a few roads around that are unusable because you can't get to the public transportation. So that would help the environment by letting people walk a bit to a bus, get exercise, and keeps the air clean. And it would increase business for those people in shops like breakfast or store shopping or whatever, so that you could enjoy a walk and take the bus.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And, you know, let's just say we can't have, you know, why does the government have to manage that? Why can't we have private companies come in and say, look, I want to start up a bus driving company. Can you imagine the unions, what they would say about that? They wouldn't let it happen. Because, again, we have public sector unions that have really put a hamper on the economy here in California. You know, the unfunded liabilities from the pension alone is what really dragging us down. And there needs to be reform. And I'm not saying cut everybody's retirement, cut all the benefits. But we definitely need to come to the table and discuss what's going to happen. Because I'll tell you what, like Margaret Thatcher said, as you spend other people's money, you're eventually going to run out of it.
I think one of the big challenges is going to be the, dealing with the unions of these pension funds. Because, I think I don't know if you read the article in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago that Arnold Schwarzenegger made. Are you familiar with it?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well,
I think,
indicated that the pension payout is going to go up significantly over the next several years. My question is, how in the hell are you guys going to deal with that? Because the unions are going to really go to battle, and I think that's going to be a real challenge.
It is going to be a real challenge, and I'll tell you what, man, you better have a good plan. Here's what I would do if I had a magic wand and I could just, fix everything with this magic wand. First of all, I would keep everybody on the plan who's in now. And we'd go to a two-tiered system. Keep the people who are on the plan now, and any new people who come in, with the collective bargaining, we put them on a year-to-year contract. At the end of that contract, we renew. When it comes time to renew that contract, we review, did we make money or are we losing money? And then what we do is we have those pensioners or those people who are currently on the new plan start paying more into it. Because right now, the public employee unions are insulated from the recession. We're constantly being asked to tighten our belts and make the difficult choices and cut our budgets. Meanwhile, what happens to them? And then the minute we start talking cuts or spending cuts or anything like that, the furloughs, people who got laid off, I bet if you asked every one of them, would they have taken a furlough instead of being laid off? Every one of them would agree. But you go to the unions up there in Sacramento and mention furloughs, and they drag Arnold to court. Where is their shared sacrifice? Why aren't they doing their part? And I think it needs to be a two-way street. There needs to be that compromise and understanding.
There's a very easy solution if you want a suggestion, if you don't mind.
Please.
Pensions right now are based on gross earnings the last 5 years out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not on base earnings or straight time earnings, on gross earnings. The policeman's union is notorious that anybody who's in between their 20th and 30th year gets all the overtime to jack up their earnings so they can have a very, very high pension.
Yes.
Change the regulation of the law to say, hey, the pension will be based upon your straight time earnings excluding overtime, and you cut the pension cost in half.
Yeah, and those are other austerity measures that we have to consider. And again, it's going to be, as one of 80, it's going to be a tough fight. And dependent on how the election goes in 2010, I could be, one of, right now it's almost a 2-to-1 Democrat to Republican ratio in the House. So hopefully if we can shift it more to the middle to where it's 50-50, we actually have a chance to make some serious reform up there. But right now, forget it. As you can see, we don't even have a budget. That's a problem. They are not abiding by their constitutional duty by not having a budget. They are sworn by the Constitution, they are bound by the Constitution of the state to have a budget passed, and they just simply ignore it. And they focus on loud motorcycles and plastic bags and blueberry commissions. The legislative priorities are just, it's mind-boggling. And go ahead, sir, I'm sorry.
Your position on Proposition 25 and your rationale.
25, refresh my memory on 25, please.
And change the voting from 2/3 to...
Oh, yes, thank you. 2/3, yes, that's a very good one. I think it should go away. And I know it might not be popular, but I'll tell you why. The 2/3 budget majority has caused more problems than it has fixed. I think it needs to go to a simple thing, simple majority. What we need to do is also have a 2-year budget. I think if we have a 2-year budget, we can't pile on the unfunded mandates. And that's what's happening right now, is they're trying, it's a shell game with them up in Sacramento. They're like trying to pay off a credit card with another credit card with another credit card. And, they just kick the can down the road for the next legislature. So that's good, because now I can talk about what I believe should be done in Sacramento's reform. One, get rid of the 2/3 budget. I think that's a problem. Still have it for taxes. And I think 23 or 25 says that. Everything but taxes. I still think we should, if we're going to raise taxes, it should be 2/3. Second thing is 2-year budgets. We should have a 2-year budget. We should, Texas does it. They seem to be fine. Part-time legislature. That I'm a big fan of. I have a business. I love to run my business. I'm worried about if I win, how am I going to run my business? I want my business to still be my sole source of income. I just want to do this part-time. But of course, I don't know how that's going to go. But I'm a big supporter of part-time legislation. And of course, if I can spend more time in district than in Sacramento, I think we can get a lot more effective governments done. And for town legislature or anything else, I think that's it. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Any other questions?
I'm really surprised about the environmental, something that you call it, and that they are going to regulate carbon dioxide emission.
Yes. Yeah, the EPA, not only that, but also there's a commission called CARB, which is the California Air Resource Board. Basically, AB 32 will expand the powers of CARB. It'll give CARB the ability to impose fines, and it'll give CARB the ability to create legislation. Basically, CARB now becomes a fourth branch of government. That's a problem. And because of the EPA's ruling on CO2 being a greenhouse gas, it has opened the floodgates.
Well, carbon monoxide is poison.
CO2.
I know.
Right, yeah.
Carbon monoxide is poison.
Mhm.
Then after it gets enough oxygen, it becomes dioxide where it's not poisonous.
Right.
Why didn't they should be controlling carbon monoxide, not dioxide?
Well, they've already done that. I mean, we got to get our cars swapped every year. We got to do all of that already. They've run out of ideas. That's the problem. The environmentalists have run out of ideas and solutions. They want to become a nanny state. And they believe that this legislation will set the groundwork for a global awakening of everyone else getting into this greenhouse gas compliance. They want to bring the greenhouse gas emissions down to 1990 levels. But what they don't understand is that there's more people here since 1990, and the energy and power use is even greater than what's going to be in 1990. And they want to bring it down to those levels. So what's going to happen? They can do it, but what's going to happen is everybody's going to leave. Everybody's going to leave the state, and then what's going to, we're not going to be anywhere near where we are now. It's probably be worse off.
This is mind-boggling, but one of my questions is, if you have a forest fire where the fire keeps on burning for about 3, 4, 5 days, how many tons of carbon dioxide does it produce because of that fire? And how much would the city of Los Angeles breathing to just create?
I've asked that same question, and how do they monitor that, and how is that regulated? We say that again. This is legislation that's not drawn for the people. This is legislation drawn for the special interests, and that's what we're getting a lot of out of Sacramento these days, and that needs to change. And I intend to change that when we get up there. I intend to empower small businesses, bring the jobs back, and start getting more localized governments than having Sacramento represented to us. We need to be represented to Sacramento.